Hello everybody and welcome to another Magic Duels gameplay video. This is East Guru from Japan Gaming, and today we're going to look at the White Weenie deck. This deck is really fun with the humans. I've always been a fan of the humans. So real quick, let's look at the deck list here. Neglected Heirloom is a easy one mana artifact that can transform into a +3/+3 and first strike weapon. So it's actually a transforming artifact weapon, which is pretty cool. And you'll see we've got quite a few ways to transform it in this deck. Enshrouding Mist is just a way to protect your creatures, preventing all damage at instant speed and getting a +1/+1. So pretty nice. One of our key humans is the Hanweir Militia Captain, which you usually want to play when you've got 4 creatures on the field, so that way it transforms into the West Vale Cult Leader, which gets pretty big pretty quick in this deck with all the humans. And of course, at the beginning of your end step, it creates more human tokens. The Thalia's Lieutenant is amazing too, as it buffs all your humans when it first enters, and it gets +1/+1 counters when more humans come in. So it actually gets big faster than you think. It it triggers off of all the tokens that are coming in as well. The Knight of the White Orchid is just a good way to get a free extra mana on the field, and it's also a human and has first strike, so pretty good value. The land comes in untapped, by the way. And Consul's Lieutenant, pretty weak, since it only has power 1, or strength 1, I mean. But it does have first strike and renowned, so if you can connect, it can be pretty useful. But a lot of times it gets removed quicker than you can actually put it up or actually use it. Lone Rider is not a human when it transforms, but it starts as a human and can transform into an Eldrazi Horror. And of course, if you've got that previous sword on it, it's a really big trample 6/6 lifelink first strike creature. So can be pretty nasty. One of my favorite humans of all time, the Topin Freeblade, a 2/2 for only 2 mana with Vigilance and Renown 1. So incredible value for just 2 mana. Got some really nice effects and abilities on it, and it's a 2/2 already. So yeah, very nice human. One of my favorites. I'm running one Consulate Skygate just because occasionally you'll have decks with the 3/2 flyers or 2/2 flyers, and it's a cheap way to block flyers and block bigger creatures. Nahiri's Machinations is mostly so you can attack with one creature unopposed. Makes one of your creatures unblockable. A lot of these creatures are small, because they're humans, the White Weenie deck, so this helps so you can attack unopposed, and there are a few creatures you want to attack with. The wings will help to strengthen some of the creatures as well as fly over, because a few of these creatures we really want to be attacking with each turn. Reprisal is to destroy something big, so a little bit of control on the board. Another one, Celestial Flare, to get rid of an attacking or blocking creature. It's a great way to get rid of a god, an indestructible god. If the opponent is attacking with one of those, you can just make them sacrifice it. We've got Thalia, who's always awesome. The Heretic Cathar, first strike, and all creatures that the opponents control, they come into the field tapped, so yeah, it's pretty powerful. As well as non-land basics, which doesn't always come into play, but hey, Thalia is just epic. Now here's the reason for splashing red. This is a human soldier, the Hanweir Garrison, and this creates tokens whenever it attacks. So this is the creature we want to be attacking with and not get it killed, so we want to make it indestructible every turn so we can attack with it, and it creates 2 human tokens each time, which will trigger Thalia's lieutenant twice. And so the lieutenant gets huge really quick. And of course it's great with the previously aforementioned militia captain here. You know, more 1/1s to make it even bigger. So yeah, it gets out of hand very quickly. So instead of White Weenie, you've got white giant creatures. So yeah, the garrison's pretty cool, and it can also transform into the Writhing Township, which is not a human anymore, but a pretty nasty trample haste creature that creates 3/2 Eldrazi horrors when it attacks instead of 1/1 humans. So it's a pretty good finisher. We've also got Always Watching, which is always great in a mainly white deck. This is mostly a mono white deck, but there is a little bit of red. I'm splashing a little bit of red for that one creature, of course, because he is a human, and he's red, the Hanwar Garrison, and it's just really useful because of all the tokens it creates. Now, we do have some angels in the deck as well. Angels always go good with humans. We've got Gazella here that can transform into Brizella, Voice of Nightmares, which can pretty much end the game as well, preventing opponents from casting small spells. We've got the Angel of Invention, which we can fabricate 2 to create some 1/1 tokens, or we can make it bigger. It's got Flying Vigilance, Lifelink already, and it buffs all your creatures too, human, angel, or otherwise. We got a copy of Archangel Avacyn, which is another great one to surprise your opponent with, make all your creatures indestructible at instant speed, and she can flip and also possibly do a board wipe. It can be two-sided, but at least it does damage to your opponent's face, and then you can pretty much get in for 6 damage unopposed if it happens to transform. Once again, another transforming creature for the sword that I mentioned at the beginning. And then we also are running Bruna because she, of course, goes with the other angel for Brizella. And then the mana base, we have 11 plains, 5 mountains. So a lot less mountains here, just kind of splashing some red. Sadly, we won't have a lot of great mana fixing in this format, but we've got the dual lands here. All the dual lands that we can do. The Hanwar Battlements is the other reason to run red, and that's what goes with the Hanwar Garrison to create that horror. You need this land. And then there's a copy here of Westville Abbey. Since there's lots and lots of tokens, it's pretty easy to get Ormondal in if you need that as well. Also a game finisher. So let's check out some games and see how the humans do. As always, we'll go ahead and do like 3 rounds here, and if you're more curious about seeing this deck in Two-Headed Giant, feel free to skip to the end, and we'll be having a Two-Headed Giant round with this deck as well. And this is a pretty fun one to play with your partner or friend as well. So I decided to keep this hand since it's pretty good, and of course a lot of these creatures are small. So it functions pretty well even if your opening hand is a 2-lander, depending on what other creatures are in your hand. If you've got a bunch of your big angels, then don't keep a 2-handed, a 2 mana land hand, I should say. Don't keep it, because yeah, you won't be able to play anything. But if you got a bunch of humans, you can keep a 2-lander pretty easily in this deck. Alright, Thalia. So awesome. Easily one of my favorite humans. Between Thalia and the Topin Freeblade, both of which are just amazing humans. But yeah, as you can see, the 0/4 is actually a pretty good, cheap, blocker. Also blocks the sky. Oh man. So 3 damage to Thalia. Yeah, I didn't expect her to last unless I had a protection spell, which I didn't. So let's see. Usually you don't want to run this guy out, but it's the best play I have right now, and hopefully I can draw one more creature. You usually want to run him out when you've got 3 creatures on the field already. And seeing the value of the 0/4, there's a lot of like 3/3 and 3/2, flyers that you can block. I'm not sure what this attack implies. He might have a burn spell, but that's okay. Nope. Now that's not a blocker I can block unless I get the Always Watching. But Always Watching makes the defender a 1/5. So he can actually kill small creatures and block 4/4 flyers. I could let him attack, but let's go ahead and do collective effort here. We'll just destroy that. We can destroy his enchantment as well. Probably doesn't matter too much, and we'll get counters on all our creatures. So we'll destroy the 4/4, destroy his enchantment, and all my creatures get +1/+1. But to do that, I gotta tap a couple of them, which is okay, because the White Weenie deck is small creatures, and a lot of times you're not attacking with them. That's why, as I showed you in the deck list, we have a bunch of nice creatures that grow really big, really fast, and those are the ones you attack with. Or I can put the wings on somebody and just fly over. There we go. So there's 4 creatures. Hopefully the angel sticks around. But we'll go ahead and put the angel out there. And if you're afraid the angel might get killed, which is, there's a good chance, we'll just create some servos here. And they count also for our Evangel here, or whatever he's called. Another strange attack. Yeah, this defender is actually doing some work. I only have 1 in the deck, but it is kind of useful when you're facing some flyers. There isn't a whole lot of anti-flyer in this deck except for the angels. So there we go. Our little Evangel freak flipped, and he's now a 9/9. So he's one of our big creatures. I almost want to put the Nimbus wings on my flyer here, but just because a 2/1 is very easy to kill. But I'll go ahead and fly one of my tokens. And we can start attacking with this big 9/9 and the flyers. And Celestial Flare is really nice to have if your opponent decides to double block something. You can burn them out. But as you can see, now we're spawning human tokens, which is making Thalia's Lieutenant bigger. And our Cultist is now a 10/10, and he's just going to keep growing constantly. But yeah, Celestial Flare can be a great blowout. So we'll play another Lieutenant, give all our humans extra tokens. Extra counters, I should say, not tokens. Extra counters. Can attack with this 12/12. 6/6 can probably get in there because I can just use Celestial Flare if he tries to. Yeah, he's just gonna chump. But yeah, you can easily use the Flare to make him sacrifice a blocker. Create another human. The 2 Thalia's Lieutenants get bigger. And yeah, you can see this gets out of hand pretty quick. But our opponent's not giving up. Plays a haste creature. If he attacks with it, I can just Celestial Flare it. But yeah, I think oh, there's my Topin Freeblade. A little late to the party. You like to play it early so you can get the Renown trigger. But it's a human, so it's going to trigger the Lieutenants again. So yeah, for 2 mana, this is an 8/8 creature. It's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, if I do an all-out attack, I think we have lethal on board here, but I'll go ahead and play it safe. I'll give my opponent one more turn to see if he can get out of this situation. I'm always curious to see if the opponent can find a way out of a situation. So sometimes give him an extra turn, and of course spawn another human. My creatures grow. It's always fun to see. But yeah, let's see if he's got a board wipe or some way. Nope. Let's say some way he can destroy my angel. That would shrink the team down. But yeah, he's done. Now I can make one of my creatures indestructible. And if he tries to block anything, I can just make him sacrifice that creature just to show how this works. And there we go, a nice quick game one with the little humans. Definitely humans are not to be underestimated. So let's try another round. This deck is a lot of fun to play. You know, as always, it may not be all that much fun to be watching, but you know, trust me, try this one out. It's a lot of fun to play. And I really like there's just so many little creatures, and there's lots of interesting synergies with them growing. Hopefully I can get the Hanweir garrison going and show you how that works. But yeah, I did have 3 lands in my hand, but sometimes this happens. I've got all my big creatures, which is not what you want. Because a lot of these big creatures are one-offs. And so I've drawn like 3 of my large angels. But I kept the hand because I did have a couple 2-drops, and I'm expecting to draw some small creatures because there's lots in the deck. So, you know, there's a high chance of drawing all of my 2-mana humans at this point, since I've got 3 of my angels in hand, and there's only 1 copy of each of those, so kind of surprising. Oh, this should be an interesting game. It's got that Haven that makes 2/2 flyers. So that could be a problem, actually, because, yeah, once again, this deck doesn't have a ton of ways to block flyers, except for the angels. And that one defender. Hey, there's Thalia. Although, yeah, let's try it, but yeah, I was afraid of that. He was obviously keeping up some kind of cancel, but that's okay. I've got more Thalias in the deck. I only have 1 of Avacyn and 1 of these other angels, so it's much worse if the angels get cancelled. So I'll just play this Lone Rider first, because, you know, he could have Censor, and I don't want to, you know, tap out and have Censor, which is a cancel spell for 2 mana, cancel one of my big angels. And this 1/1, even though it looks small and innocent, this 1/1 Rider is actually incredibly threatening, especially if you can find that sword that I showed you in the deck list. The 1-mana sword, you can equip it, and when the Rider transforms, the sword will transform and stay on him as well. So you don't even have to re-equip the sword, and it just transforms and stays on him and gives him the buff. So that sword is pretty deadly. And there's a decent number of transforming creatures in this deck, so he still has 2 mana up, which is a problem. Let me see if I can get him to block this. So yep, he did have Censor. There, he discarded it. Let me see if he's sucker enough to block this. Nope, he's just gonna let it through, because I could have buffed it and killed one of his flyers. But yeah, I'm going to play Avacyn here. That's why I passed the turn. I want to reduce the damage I'm taking from all these flyers, because this deck produces a lot of 2/2 token flyers, and so I need to ambush them and just hope he doesn't have another sensor. So Avacyn's pretty nice, makes everything indestructible, and she has flash as well as vigilance. So yeah, I guess I'm lucky I had this hand against this deck, because I started with a bunch of my angels. Oh wow. A 7/6 flyer. Now that's a problem. Now we're starting to draw some of our small creatures, but let me get the Angel of Invention up here. And this time I think I might do counters to make my angel bigger. This isn't going to matter too much, but I'll make Avacyn indestructible, see if he blocks. If I had Enshrouding Mist out, I could kill that 7/6, but yeah, that's okay. Nothing happened really. I do have a life-linking angel now, so can maybe take 7 damage if necessary. So he's going to make another 2/2. Oh no, I guess he decided not to, huh? He's going to sacrifice a 2/2 and kill my 2/2. Okay. That probably was a bad idea, because now Avacyn's going to transform. So at the beginning of upkeep here, I'm going to play Enshrouding Mist to save my other angel, because when she transforms, she does 3 damage to everything on the board. So this way, I'll keep both of my angels. So Avacyn did 3 to his face, transformed into a 7/6, and my other angel would have died, but so now he doesn't have a good block here on Avacyn. So that wasn't too big of a problem. I should have attacked with the 5/4 there, since I was indestructible anyway. Only 1 human on the field, but we can always make it bigger here. And yeah, I'm still fine taking a hit. We've got Bruna coming up if I can get another land. She is a little expensive, but her ability is you can return a creature from the graveyard to the battlefield. So that's pretty nice. And if you've got a big creature in your graveyard, like one of your other angels or something, you can bring it back. Well, there's the land. Ask and you shall receive. Guess I'll get Thalia back for the best value. Now everything enters tapped. And it's a human, so it makes my lieutenant bigger. Can make something indestructible here. Probably could have traded Avacyn off, but and then made the 4/3 indestructible. But yeah, I figured he's probably just going to chump. But yeah, this game probably would have looked quite different if I hadn't had all the angels in my opener, because all those 2/2s he's been spawning, those 2/2 flyers, would have been pretty tough to deal with unless you draw your big humans first, and you can force him to chump block. Oh wow, so he sacrificed his big creature just to kill my angel, which was buffing everybody. But yeah, his creature entered tapped, so the game is pretty much over. With 1 mana, I can't see him having anything. No flash creatures that I'm aware of that I should worry about. I could have played the free blade there for 1 extra damage. Would have made the lieutenant bigger, but doesn't matter. Still got him down to -10. Alright, let's try one more. And then we'll do a two-headed giant round with the humans. And once again, yeah, I have a lot of fun playing this deck, two-headed giant as well. So can't keep a hand with only one land. But here's one that will probably work out. You notice I only have 2 lands, which is risky, but I've got a lot of small creatures, and that's usually the way the opening hands are. Oh, we got the garrison too, so hopefully I can get one more land for that. And we also have the Knight of the White Orchid, that human knight. It looks like a lion, but apparently it's a human, even though there's a little itty bitty human riding it in the picture. And that's a way you can get your extra land pretty easily. So I wanted to play out my land so I could get the sword out there too. And if the militia sticks around, I can equip the sword and I can show you how devastating it can be for just a 1 mana artifact. Very, very powerful equipment. Okay, good. He played a creature. I was afraid he was going to keep up mana. So I might want to get the garrison down while I have a chance here, but and I'm going to keep this land and attack with this because it's his first strike. But yeah, sometimes you want to keep a land because the Knight of the White Orchid searches up a land for you, and that land is untapped, so it's definitely not relevant. You might feel like oh, you're getting behind in mana, and that's kind of the point. I want him to play a 4th one out here. Okay, there we go. So now he has more mana than me. So the Knight of the White Orchid will trigger. It only triggers if the opponent has more mana, so make sure not to play a mana. Play the Knight first, and he'll get you a land, which is untapped. So that is a huge deal. It's a free land, and then you can play a land. And yeah, I could have done always watching, but I'm going to go ahead and put this guy out here and equip the sword, which is probably a bit better. Hopefully he survives a single turn here because he is going to transform. And no good attacks because of that flyer, but yeah, unless the opponent takes out one of my creatures, he's going to be in serious trouble here pretty quick. And that's really aggressive. See, now if I was on his side, you definitely don't want to attack with that 4/4 because that's just too aggressive. The 4/4 has good blocks on all my creatures, but he attacked with it. So this 3/3 is going to transform to a 6/6 and then to an 8/8 with first strike because the sword transformed that was attached to him. So suddenly a 2-mana creature is now a 9/9 first strike vigilance monstrosity. He's a 9/9 of course because of always watching, but see, I'm probably okay attacking with the 3/4. I want to make some humans, so just showing off the garrison here. See how it makes 2 humans which are buffed. And then let's see. Okay, so I was afraid maybe he would try a double block on my 4/5 garrison, but he's just gonna kill a token, so that's perfectly fine. So yeah, Celestial Flare is a great way to punish a double block. But yeah, every turn we can pretty much be making 3 human tokens. And he gets out of hand really quickly, and an 11/11 creature is not easy to see. Yeah, that's a little aggressive. I don't know why he's being so aggressive. Because, I mean, the 4/4 has good blocks on almost all the creatures I have, even the first strike creatures, so that's foolish to attack with the 4/4 flyer, but whatever. But I see a lot of actual real players doing that, and yeah, that's why people lose a lot of games. They're just too aggressive. Only attack with what you can afford to attack with. But since it's over, I'm just going to go ahead and attack with everything here. Make some more tokens. They get buffed. You can chump the 15-15, I guess, but yeah, he's going to die from first strike damage even. Good times, good times. Okay, let's go ahead and run to a two-headed giant game. And I'm playing with my good buddy Wild Boar, and I'm going to do the human deck, which we've been showcasing, and I'm not sure what he's gonna pick. It's always a surprise. Sometimes we coordinate and decide to both do, like, say, the Surge deck, which is a lot of fun to do, the Surge dual wielding it. I made a previous video for that. So what are we up against here? I've got the humans, and it looks like Wild Boar is playing the Vampire Life deck, which I also showcased a couple weeks back. That one is a lot of fun too, and it's a great partner deck in Two-Headed Giant for anything that your teammate is playing. So we got a pretty good setup here. We got the White Weenie Humans and the Vampire Life Gain. But we'll have to see what our opponents bring to the table here. Of course, with two opponents, it's easier for them to remove your creatures. So yeah, Thalia is going to be really good if she can stick around, since she has first strike. And first strike is great against these 4/3 Minotaurs that are quite annoying. But I'm just going to go ahead and kill it now. Surprisingly, those things can do a lot of damage early on, so I mean, it's 4/3 on turn 2, so it's pretty dangerous. That's why a Reprisal is in the deck. Can take care of big creatures that you're having trouble with for 2 mana, so it's a pretty cheap removal spell. But we'll see if I can get Thalia to stick around here. Okay, I have a protection spell now, so I think I'll go ahead and do this, get my free land. Once again, Two-Headed Giant, you can trigger this Knight much easier, getting your free untapped land. And we'll go ahead and get Nahiri's Machinations going here. Making my creature indestructible, which doesn't really matter. The red ability, also on Nahiri's Machinations, can be relevant too, which is another reason why there's a little bit of red mana in the deck. Always watching, always great in every white deck. But yeah, the reason, this is typically a mono-white humans deck. The White Weenie deck is often mono-white, but I've got that little bit of red in there for the Garrison, just because it's too good. It counts as a human, and it makes, human tokens, and it can be a big game finisher, so... And there are 2 copies of it in the deck. So hopefully Thalia gets out here and sticks around, because she's just, in general, quite threatening. I don't expect her to survive, but we'll see. So Wild Boar has an option of doing Serene Steward here. We'll see if he does. He can put counters on his creature. It costs 1 white. Okay, so he decided he would do it. And I can make one of my creatures indestructible. It doesn't really matter because I'm not attacking. They can just chump. I'm going to hold on to my mist here. So I could have played the captain, but I want to make sure I've got some mana up for my mist, just in case of a kill card, which often will happen on Thalia. But yeah, now everything's going to be entering tapped. Which is a huge inconvenience. Trust me, it may not seem like it, but it can be a huge inconvenience to have all your creatures entering tapped. You don't want to be playing against Thalia. Okay, he's just gonna attack in the air. Once again, if I had 2 white up, I could have forced him to sacrifice that flyer, which would have been nice. But Wild Boar is using the vampire deck, and it's got a decent number of flyers in it. So, and he's going to play one out, which is going to be a 3/5 vampire. So that's going to be draining the opponent very quickly. Go ahead and make Thalia indestructible, just in case. Keep up all my interaction here. He's probably just going to take it. Oh, and Wild Boar decided he would attack too. Since I've got some cards I can use to protect his creatures as well. So yeah, once again, Two-Headed Giant, I can use these cards to protect Wild Boar's creatures as well. So once again, I'm not playing the Militia Captain because he wouldn't transform. I'm hoping for one more creature, and I'm just keeping up all my interaction here. Maybe I can create a human at the end of turn. With my land, which is another way you can use your mana so you don't waste it. But yeah, that 3/5 vampire flyer that Wild Boar has, it's doing 2 damage every time we gain life instead of 1, because we have 2 opponents. And once again, the line on the card saying it deals 1 damage to each opponent is relevant. So yeah, it's kind of a weird attack. Probably could have chump blocked it, but I wanted to use my mana and just get rid of his single flyer. Ooh, Bruna, huh? So yeah, here we have an interesting choice. Not sure what Wild Boar is going to play, but I could create a human, and then I would have 3 creatures out there for the garrison. Or I could just play the garrison out so it's ready and then create a human next turn and keep up my mist just in case. But yeah, with Kalitas out there also, it's going to be pretty tough for the opponent now. And he's just going to take it, it looks like. Yeah, I'll have to decide if I want to just create a human token here. So that enters tapped, not much of a threat. That 4/4 could be a problem, but I think when it exerts, it can buff itself up. So we'll see how the opponent decides to attack, if they do at all. They don't really have any good attacks at all. Unless they have some tricks. which is possible. Some burn spells, some buff spells. So I'm going to go ahead and, I think, make a human this turn. So that way I have 3 creatures. Now I'm okay putting out the garrison. Hopefully it doesn't get countered. And I still have my protection up, so we're good to go. So if he sticks around, he'll be transforming next turn at the beginning. And then he'll just start making me lots of human tokens, which, as I mentioned in the deck list, you can sacrifice with Ormondal, the Profaned Prince, and then you get the 9/7 gigantic indestructible haste lifelink demon flying creature, which is very hard to deal with. So Wild Boar's got all his vampire synergies online, and boy, he's just draining the opponent to death. Look at that, he's down to 1. Yeah, the vampire life gain deck is very dangerous in Two-Headed Giant, just because you know, it just drains so quick. So next turn, if, you know, Wild Boar plays any ally or any vampire, or if he gains any life, the game is over. But yeah, I think the game is over now. He just doesn't have enough blockers. We'll see how the opponent blocks here, but yeah, Kalitas is going to make some zombies here, and yeah, he's done for. So that was a pretty fun game. But yeah, that was the White Weenie Humans deck. They call it White Weenie because there's lots of small white creatures, but they grow big very quickly. So check it out sometime. It's a really fun deck to play. And I want to thank everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Check out my main channel, East Guru Japan Gaming, for lots more gaming content from Japan. Very cool stuff. And we'll see you all in the next video. Ja minasan, mata ne.